Everyone have been talking about future of work. I believe if you just go on Google and browse it, there have been countless articles, surveys, seminars, webinars talking about future of work, the fast rate of change, how it's affecting our work, how we work, who we work with, and all that. But today that we are coming together to talk about it again, I would like us to start, and this one I'll put it to you, Dele. What factors make the future of work a topic that we must discuss and that we all need to do something about? So, Dele, with that, you will get us started. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Ruth. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, anywhere, wherever we're joining from. My name is Dele Oland. I've been introduced by Ruth. And my responsibility here is to just get us started because I'm not sure if I can do full justice to this question. What factors make the future of work a topic that we must discuss? But let's start this way. We all know and we are aware that there is an unprecedented shift in the labor market today. And that shift is such that it has created opportunities for lots of people with many jobs now available but unable to be filled. We know that there are certain aspects of career, like type of work or jobs, where there is a lot of opportunities. And in fact, we've not been able to find enough people to be able to fill the space. But at the same time, there is also this rise in unemployment across the world because there are many other people that are skilled somewhat or people that are not skilled in certain areas, and the jobs are not really there anymore. So we saw that shift in labor market. Things have always shifted over hundreds and hundreds of years. We know that, but it looks like today the shift is a little bit more alarming. And I could remember that as a young kid, growing up, our parents kind of were able uh, to support us in choosing some certain careers or profession because the lines and the options were clear. For example, when I was growing up, when I was in high school, you would think about becoming a doctor, a lawyer, a carpenter, a mechanic, a mason, or an engineer, an architect. There are so many career options then, but the lines were clear. The reality is that today we can't really say that those career lines are clear like they used to be maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago. It looks like there is a lot of overlap between the different careers and things are becoming more fluid, things are becoming more integrated such that the lines of career are not that clear like it used to be. And the reason for all of these things, some of us are aware of it. We know that things are changing very fast. The world is not the same again. We know that one of the forces that are changing things for us is technology. We know technological advancement is pushing the limits. There are so many things that we could not do 10 years ago, 20 years ago that are now possible. But I want to say that it's not only technology that is pushing the limits. Look at it. What about climate change? We know that there is a push towards like green energy, things around electrification of vehicles. We want to manage the climate and all of that. And because of that, we are pushing the limits. The world population has grown also. A few years ago, we would say that we are 7 billion people on Earth. But right now, we are talking about 7.8 or even pushing close to 8 billion people. So that is also shifting something. Look at the socio-political situation. Look at what's going on around the world. Look at how trade is being negotiated between countries, trade, whether it's trade liberalization or even protectionism of economies. Look at the definition of mobility and transportation today. 50 years ago, people were not this mobile. And because of that mobility, we can see that our communities and demographics are also changing. We have changes in economic policies and so many other factors that are changing the way the future of work will be impacted. And I also want to say that today, if you go to study something in school, let's say you go for a degree that takes you maybe 4 or 5 years to achieve, that 4 5 years may be enough for that program of study to be obsolete, totally obsolete before you graduate. Because if you look at how technology is changing so rapidly, where we were 5 years ago is not exactly where we are today. And I can give you example from my own life. I remember in the 1990s, I worked with my parents to get enrolled in a computer training program. And in that computer training program, I learned how to write commands in DOS, so DOS prompt. So the way we work with computer, there were three parts of the computer. Then you have a keyboard, you have a CPU, and then you have a monitor. So you would type things on the using your keyboard on the backslash something whatever in DOS, and you call the programs. And I learned three softwares then. I learned Lotus 123 for spreadsheets. I learned WordPerfect 5.1. I learned DBase 4 for database management, and we called them up. I remembered the WordPerfect 5.1 then, there were 14 diskettes. We used to call them diskettes. So if you want to install the program, you have to be able to work in DOS prompt and then be able to load all 14 diskettes, and that's the program. But before the end of the 1990s, we all know what happened before year 2000. There was Windows 95 and then Windows 98, and then we had the Windows Millennium. All these things changed everything, and we did not do computer work as we did during that training. And I remembered also in the early 2000s, I enrolled in another 6 months training program in computer, and that program was around like hardware and software configuration for new computers. So it was based on the A+ curriculum of those days. So I remembered that the curriculum was based on Windows Millennium and maybe Windows 2000, something of that nature. So if you learned hardware and the communication protocols and all the cloning and all the programming, the installation and everything, you learned based on that. But then shortly after, we had Windows XP and some of the things were changing. So if you certified for A+ 4 or 5 years before those new operating systems came on board, things have changed, and then you have to go back and relearn again. And now you fast forward to today, you can tell me that things have changed a lot. And that is what we are talking about, the future of work. Things are changing very rapidly. The world is dynamic. But what makes it to be so dynamic is the pace of change. It is more rapid than ever before. And if that is the case, our approach to work must also follow the dynamics of that changing world. Otherwise, we are going to be outpaced and become irrelevant to the future of work. And I'm using that word irrelevant very carefully because I really mean it. In the next 5 years, some people will become irrelevant to the future of work. And I will give you example from history. And this is something that you all know. You can Google it, you can find out, or you probably had experience if you are maybe older than me. So we know that some careers are already obsolete. For example, career like typist or word processor. 50 years ago, if you were a typist or a word processor, you had a job. But today, you don't have a job. What about video store clerk? In the days of Blockbuster, it was DVD by mail, right? You go to a store, you go to rent a DVD, and you had store attendants, people that were trained to be able to sort out different DVDs and be able to provide you what you need. That job is gone. What about switchboard operator? I remember growing up as a kid, we went to a company that managed all of the telephony for our city. Growing up in West Africa then, we paid some money, we dialed some numbers, the switchboard operator picked our call, they routed it to whether it's the United Kingdom we are calling or the US or something. That's how we grew up, but that switchboard operator never exists again. What about movie projectionists? We have people in the days of cinema where you use a projector, right? That was a career for somebody to be a projectionist, a technician in charge of that equipment. Even that equipment doesn't exist. Maybe it exists only in the museum today. So now fast forward to today, some jobs will not be there in the next 5 or 10 years. And we can think about them. Some of them will be obsolete soon. Let me ask you a question. When last did you book your flight through a travel agent? You probably use Expedia or Priceline, or you use FlightHub, or you went directly to the airline. So that travel agent's job is shaky. We're not sure if it's going to be here in 10 years. What about cashier? What about bank teller, right? When last did you stand at the bank to withdraw money or to do transactions. You don't go there as often as it used to be. What about mail carrier? What about insurance underwriter? What about telemarketers? What about librarian? Now, so we just need to think about it. Things are changing very rapidly, and it's going to impact the future of work. So this is a topic that we must all discuss, and it's the right time for us to discuss that topic. So I don't want to keep going on, Ruth. I'm going to return it back to you. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Dele, for getting us started and probably taking some of us down the memory lane. And I believe there'll be people in this room that reminded them a lot more down the memory lane than probably some of the things that you have mentioned and some jobs that maybe we used to have 10, 15, 20 years ago, but those jobs are no longer here today. So